We've been doing a series about who Jesus really is. And I've had a good time with that, and I hope you have too. And a lot of you are sharing it, and it's going out. People are really listening to this series. And today I want to talk about sometimes it's hard to figure out who Jesus really is because we're all immersed in culture. Whether we like it or not, we live in the context of a culture. And very often the things that capture our imaginations are so far removed from Jesus, but we don't recognize it because we're so enmeshed in our culture. Now, a lot of that comes from media and social media. Before social media, we had the television, right? Y'all remember when the biggest TV you could buy was a 25-incher? Man, that was a whopper right there. Now, the cabinet weighed 896 pounds, but the 25-inch television, and the picture wasn't great, so you get right up in front of it, and your mama would say, "It's gonna burn your eyes out." You remember? Some of you probably said that too. Well, I'm going to tell you something today about watching media, television, and social media. It ain't going to burn your eyes out. It's going to burn your soul out if you're not careful. Because there is stuff out there that makes it so hard to find Jesus and to walk with Jesus when we let our mindsets be determined by anything other than Jesus. You see, what we see out there in our culture today are things like this. Self-promotion, just constant self-promotion, constant bragging about accomplishments, what you have done, the things that you have achieved, the milestones that you have reached. And man, it's so subtle because somebody reaches a milestone. Well, we all want to celebrate when some kid graduates high school, even though 99% of them do. But we want to graduate when the kid gets through college. We want to graduate. We want to celebrate when somebody gets big milestones in their life. But if you're not careful, pretty soon you're starting to praise people for their accomplishments. And Jesus clearly said in our text today, don't do your works to be seen of anybody. Don't do what you do for the approval and the celebration of people. That's a challenge, isn't it? All of a sudden, something just came to focus with me. Wait a second. You mean some of what I could say, what I could do, what I could talk about might be celebrating me? Or looking for the attention of somebody else, or for somebody else to give me a like? Or make a good comment to say I'm exactly right? You see, Jesus said, don't let your right hand know what your left is doing. Quit talking so much. Just do what you've got to do. Just be the servant I have called you to do. Serve somebody and don't look for credit or glory from people. You know, the only social media I have is LinkedIn. And that's a professional social media, and they're pretty good about keeping it on target and keeping it in the business, but things slip in there occasionally. But even on LinkedIn, you get a lot of stuff like, look how much I'm in control. That's a joke. Nobody's in control, and if you ever think you are in control, how fast do you find out you're not? Just one doctor appointment sometimes, or one car accident, and you find out you're not in control. A lot of stuff on LinkedIn is about, look at my new title. Titles are big these days in business. I don't even know what some of them mean. It's like, I'm a petroleum transfer engineer. Okay, you pump gas. We got all these fancy terms for people, and I can't figure them out. I don't know what they mean. And people say, what's that mean? So it's all about titles, and it's, look how big of a team I run. Look at me, I'm the CEO of 400 people. And there's a lot of self-aggrandizement. And in the business world, you've got these thoughts, and LinkedIn is full of this. If you are being disrespected, leave that job. If you're not getting respect, you deserve better. You ought to go somewhere else. Why, if you're not appreciated, if people aren't giving you thank you notes and they don't recognize how good you are, and if you're not getting recognized for the superb person you are, you need to leave. If you work in a toxic's a big word on LinkedIn these days. We like to talk about toxic environments. Well, that's a talk for another day. But toxic stuff makes you sick, right? So if you work somewhere and you think it's toxic, if it's not good for you, if it doesn't make you happy every day, well, you better go somewhere that's not so toxic because it's all about you. Now, I got a video here for you that Tracy's going to show you. This was on LinkedIn, but this is the world's mindset a lot on business these days. Take a look. Now, on the surface, that makes sense, right? I mean, he's down there saving them, keeping the big rock off of them. They ought to appreciate him. But instead, they're shooting stuff at him. It's a joke what they're shooting, but they're shooting stuff at him. So he just steps back and says, all right, if that's what you want, you can have it. And in business, a lot of people are going, yeah, that's right. That's the way it ought to be. If they don't appreciate you, if they don't respect you, if they take shots on you, just let the chips fall where they may. I saw that on LinkedIn, and I don't respond just a whole lot because responding is always dangerous. But I did respond to that when I said that is the antithesis of everything I believe. I mean, there were like dozens and dozens of comments saying, yes, that's the way it ought to be. And I said, I'd a whole lot rather be, one, like Jesus. Number two, I'd far rather be even like a guy like Martin Luther King who said, I'm going to be who I am, independent on you are. You cannot change my choices. Folks, aren't you glad that Jesus never said, if you disrespect me, I'm out of here? Aren't you glad he never said, if you don't appreciate me, I'm not going to die? Aren't you glad he never said, this world is toxic, so I'm going home? Because if he'd have done any of that, which is all over the business world today, we'd all be going straight to hell. But it's so subtle, isn't it? And it's so cute. Yeah, you shooting on me, I'm out of here. And it infiltrates every part of our life. It infiltrates preachers. You treat me bad, I'm gone. Well, that ain't the Jesus way. You see, what we get in our world today is all about materialism, and it's money, and how much stuff can you get, and how much can you accumulate. You know, I saw a deal on I don't know what it was on. It may have been Melissa's Facebook or something, I don't know. But anyway, it says, we went to buy a car today, and we couldn't choose between the Audi and the BMW, so we bought both. I'm so happy for you. That doesn't mean nothing to me. You know, and we send stuff out about, and it's so close, because you know what? When y'all go somewhere, I like to know you went somewhere. I don't mind seeing a picture of you somewhere. That's all right. Brent likes to torture me every time they go on a trip, which is now. He sends me pictures of where they're at, and I say, quit sending me pictures. I'm envious, you know. But folks, you remember when we didn't do that? I had a buddy, and I was 10 years old, 1969, and he was going to California. Now, when you lived in Sweetwater, Texas, California was the most exotic place on the planet. And so when he went, I said, I want one thing. He said, what's that? I want some bell-bottoms. Because everybody's wearing bell-bottoms, right? You couldn't buy any in Sweetwater, Texas. I said, bring me some bell-bottoms. When he got back, he had been to Disneyland, he'd been to the beach, he'd been to all sorts of places. He said, you want to hear about any of that? I said, no, where's my bell-bottoms? And he gave me some orange with white striped bell-bottoms. I didn't care about all that trip and all that stuff. I don't need to see all that and glorify if you can't go somewhere, you're not cool. You know what Jesus said? Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to go to heaven. I'm not real sure I want to go to that category. Now, I know some people said, eye of a needle, didn't he mean a sheep's gate or something like that? Okay, fine. Then I can use that illustration too. It's like my 260-pound Mastiff going through a kitty door on your back door. Ain't happening. And Jesus was saying, all this stuff you're glorifying is going to make it extremely hard for you. Not because rich people can't go to heaven. It's because it's tugging at you and it's capturing your imagination. And there's times, honestly, when people will post spiritual things. Occasionally on LinkedIn, I've got some people brave enough that'll talk about this is the day the Lord has made, and they'll mention prayer and things like this. But I'll guarantee you when they do, they're going to get it. There's going to be a lot of stuff. This is LinkedIn. This is professional business stuff. This isn't about church. If you want to do that stuff, go to Facebook. You'll get those things. If you really want to get in trouble on social media, just post anything about faith or politics. Politics worse. But if you want to get butchered, you just do faith or politics on social media, and and you're going to get it. Somebody's going to roast you over something you said. If you're going to get into politics, you say something about Kamala, then a bunch of people are going to defend Kamala, and then a bunch of people are going to support you and give you a whole bunch of likes. If you say something about Trump, you are going to get cursed out. That's just, look at your social media. That's the way it's coming, and it keeps you in trouble. But here's what I want us as Christians to know. And you've heard me say many times, I don't like to talk about politics, and I'll mention that in a minute. Folks, because of social media, I want you to hear me. There are millions of people who will never set foot in a white evangelical church because of things they have seen Christians post. And there are people that will not come to this church because of what they have read on social media. And I'm not here to lead people to a political party. I'm here to lead them to Jesus Christ. And I'm not going to do anything that keeps them from finding Jesus. But it's so subtle. You see, Jesus said, if you want to be great among men, you be the least. What I'm looking for in leadership, see, we always, what's a great leader? Well, a leader runs over people and bullies people. I'm looking for school superintendents who are cleaning the tables after they've had their convocation and picking up all the trash. I'm looking for people that are out serving and mowing grass and taking care of their people and empowering their people, because that's what a leader is. You see, what we get in our culture so often is judgment. Just harsh, cruel judgment. And usually here's where the judgment is focused in our culture. If it's anything that's not like me, I hate it. And if it's not like me, it's got to be wrong, because that's the American way. But it's not the Jesus way. It's not Jesus. It's not judgment. It's not cruelty and cruel, harsh, destroying words. Words that just whip people to death. You know what Jesus said? Jesus said, don't judge, lest you too be judged. Because with what measure you use, it's going to be used of you. Now, I want us all, and everybody listening, and wherever you're listening, there's a good use for Facebook. Listen to this. I want you to ask yourself, do you want God and Jesus to deal with you the way you're dealing with other people? Do you want them to use the words against you that you use against others? Do you want the judgment that sometimes we see in our world placed on you and your sins? Jesus also said in John chapter 8 to the woman caught in adultery, and we know the story, she's guilty as she can be, caught in adultery, the very act, they're getting ready to kill her, throwing rocks at her until she's dead, which is a horrible way to die. And when Jesus stops them, here's one way he does it. Any of you don't have no sins? You throw that first rock. Nobody could throw any rocks because they all had sins. But how many of us outside of these walls are throwing rocks like nobody's business because we forget who Jesus is? You see, the world will make us turn our backs on grace and forgiveness, and Jesus will make us turn toward grace and forgiveness. And some people aren't going to like you for that, because Christians that walk by the Spirit offend Christians that walk by the flesh. And if you're going to walk by the Spirit, there's going to be some people not like you. If you're going to love, there's going to be some people reject you. But we're called to walk by the Spirit. You see, the world right now is so much into affirmation and confirmation. And we got kids. This is the saddest thing I know, and I'm so glad schools are figuring it out again. Get the cell phones out of your schools. Because you've got children right now, little girls posting a picture, and if she didn't get 100 likes, she thinks she's worthless. You've got children that don't get any affirmation, they get condemnation on social media, and they are killing themselves left and right because of the arbitrary opinions of people they don't even know. You know, we get so silly with this. I got a little bitty clip with you. I want you to watch this. This is kind of like it is with affirmation. Watch quick, go. Boy, any kind of affirmation I can get, whatever it takes for me to feel good about myself. I'm telling you, this is the gospel truth. Sometimes I get on Melissa's Facebook for amusement, or just, I guess I like to torture myself. But sometimes I want to see how many people have viewed our sermons. And I'll be scrolling down or something, and I'll say, hey, who's that right there? And she'll say, well, you know that person. That's this lady. That don't look like her. What on earth did she do? I mean, she cut half her face off and put a bunch of different stuff. What are you doing? You know, I've seen pictures of people, and they're in Cancun. 25 years, and we love each other more than ever. I'm doing their marriage counseling. They hadn't shared a bedroom in 5 years, and they filed for divorce. Why you got to say something like that? Jesus said, John 12, talking about people that were convinced Jesus was Lord. They believed He was the Son of God, but they're scared of the Pharisees, and here's what Jesus said. These people like the praise of men more than the praise of God. And folks, I'm going to tell you, I want Jesus to be okay with me, and I don't care if anybody else is or not. Because what we're doing in our world right now is we're trying to fill up a hole in our soul that cannot be filled. I don't care how much you put in it, it ain't going to satisfy it until you put God in there. And we got to stand up and love people and let them know all these hurts and all these harms and all these things that need to be healed in you and can be will be done by God, but nothing else. But the world is pressuring us, intense pressure, to lose our humility, to lose our meekness. Even though Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, take my teaching upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly. That's who we're called to be. And our world is in absolute war against that. Well, Eric, does that mean you don't have opinions about anything? Oh, I got strong opinions. Does that mean you don't care about politics? I wish I did not. It's an addiction. But it doesn't matter what I think. I can out-argue most people on these issues. So, that's not ever going to change anybody. The absolutely only thing that can change a heart, a mind, and a soul is Jesus Christ. And so I'm going to preach Jesus, and Jesus can do what He will do with your hearts. Jesus can do what He'll do with anybody's hearts. But my opinions and my thoughts are worthless when it comes to changing a heart. Just going to preach Jesus. And if you gotta go channel surfing, if you gotta do the Fox, CNN, MS, whoever you want to watch, if you're doing it all, don't go to judge and condemn, go to learn. Go to learn what people are looking for. You see, that's what Jesus did with people. He just wanted to know what they're looking for. What is it you want? Well, I want to walk. All right, walk. All right, Martha, Mary, what is it you want? Well, we just want to grieve with somebody. All right, I'll cry. You demoniac guy living in a graveyard, what do you want? I want to be accepted by people. I'm lonely. All right, I'll cast the demons out. You bunch of lepers, what is it you want? We just want to be touched. Nobody's touched us in years. All right, I'll touch you. Look at the television and look at media to ask yourself, what are people looking for? Learn. That will make us better ambassadors for Jesus. And here's what people are looking for. They're looking for leadership. Real leadership. Not leadership that dominates, leadership that serves. Leadership that washes feet. They're looking for health. They just want to be healthy. They want to find balance in their lives. People are looking for joy. Something to smile about every day. Some reason to feel good about things. Some reason to feel good about myself and my relationships. They're looking for hope. Something that says it's always going to get better and God's got this. They're looking for relationships. Good, healthy, won't ever hurt you, will always love you relationships. And they're looking in the wrong place. The place is here. The place is you. But are we giving them another big dose of the world with a Christian stamp put on it? Or are we giving them Jesus? He's still visible. He's still here. It's just up to us to get him out there. It's family time. We've had a lot of baptisms lately. If today's the day for you, all you got to do is say, hey, today's it. I want to be baptized right now. I want to give my life to Christ. But it's also a wonderful time for us to pray with each other and minister to each other and love up on each other, because a lot of us get lonely too, right? Sometimes we're hurting, and sometimes we just need a hug. Sometimes need somebody to pray for us. So I got a beautiful song. If you just want to stand there and watch and reflect, that is fantastic. If not, let's go greet each other, love on each other, and then get quiet, because Sherry's going to close us.